Hey guys, it's Dave from Animal Experiences again. I thought I'd talk to you about turtles today, and I have some native Rhode Island turtles. And we actually have 7 kinds of turtle that live in Rhode Island. There are 5 kinds that live in the water, 2 kinds that live on land. Today I have 3 of the water turtles, and these guys are all young turtles, including 2 that were born last summer and then one that's about 2 years old. So we're going to start out with the smallest kind of turtle that lives in this part of the country. And this guy was born last year. He's probably about 9 months old now, 9 to 10 months. And this is a very tiny turtle. It might be hard to see him because he's in his shell here. But this turtle, full grown, is only going to be about this big. Pretty small turtle. About maybe 5 inches long. Definitely the smallest turtle in this part of the country. And people call it a musk turtle. The word musk means he can make a smell when he's frightened. And that's a protective device for them. I call it a stink pot turtle, which is what many people call them. I first ran across these when I was a kid. Caught one. I was very excited. I had caught this turtle. Didn't know what kind it was, just was happy I had caught a turtle. And I no sooner had him in my hands and he made this horrible smell. And I very quickly put him back in the water. So that was my introduction to a musk turtle. This guy born last summer, believe it or not, has grown quite a bit since I got him. He was really tiny. And I almost missed him as I was going through the leaves that I had netted at the edge of the pond. Almost didn't see him, he was so small. So a very, very neat little turtle. Now my guess is if he's around people continually as he's growing up, when he gets older, he probably will not make that smell. He doesn't do it now, the babies don't do it. But that is something that's a pretty strong smell when they make it. And I'm not aware of any other turtles that do that. At least not around here. All right, so the musk turtle, or what I call a stink pot turtle, the smallest kind of turtle you're going to find in this part of the country. Now the next guy is the most common turtle you'd find around here. People call them by 2 different names. Again, this guy was born last summer. Now just to give you an idea, that little musk turtle, when I caught him, was not much bigger than a dime. This guy was about the size of a quarter when I caught him, and that's normal size for a lot of baby turtles. So this is an eastern painted turtle. A lot of people just call it a painted turtle, and I tend to call them sun turtles. And the reason I do that is these turtles, you may have seen them and not realize what kind they were, but if you've ever walked by a pond and you saw a turtle sitting on a rock or a log, and a lot of times there'll be more than one, there'll be 3, 4, 5 of them all together, they're sunning themselves. And a lot of times when you get close to them, then they'll dive in the water because they're kind of shy. But they come out and they sunbathe. And they do that for a couple reasons. It dries out their shell, helps keep their shell healthy, and sitting in the sun allows them to better use vitamins in their food that will keep the shell hard. So it's very, very important that a painted turtle or a sun turtle actually be able to sunbathe. So he's very active. He's not shy at all. And when you look at the bottom, you can see the yellowish bottom to his shell, and then the red around the edges. They're very pretty turtles. And then they have the yellow on their face. You can see that as well. So you kind of get the idea, it looks like he was painted. Right? So a very, very neat turtle. Now these guys full grown can be maybe 8 or 9 inches long. If you happen to catch an adult one and pick it up, there's a real strong possibility it'll try to bite you. But if you get them as babies, they're very friendly. They adapt well to being kept. And like I said, this guy was born last year. I caught him the last week in June, actually. And he looks like he would like to swim right now. Now let's look at one more turtle. It's the biggest kind of turtle in this part of the country, and that would be a snapping turtle. Now this snapping turtle, he was born 2 years ago, and he was born right here at my house. I was given 28 snapping turtle eggs. They had been laid at a golf course in a sand trap. The guys there were afraid they would get stepped on and broken. They brought me 28 snapping turtle eggs, 26 hatched. I kept 2, I let 24 go. Now, this guy is super friendly, and that's been my experience with snapping turtles. If you have them from the time they're little, if they're handled all the time, they're usually pretty friendly. So this guy has never once tried to bite. Now I'm sure if someone were mean and poking at him or being aggressive with him, he would try to bite, because there's something very important that he cannot do. He cannot go in his shell. A snapping turtle cannot hide the way other turtles do. Biting is his protection. If you look at the bottom of his shell, you'll see it's so small that he can't possibly tuck his head, his feet, and his big long tail inside that shell. So if you're ever wondering why snapping turtles bite, not so much that they're mean, they're afraid. If you look at this guy, I don't know if you can see his toenails or claws. They're pretty long. They're long enough now where I can trim them if I want to. A turtle's no different than other animals. If you cut the nails too short, they will bleed. So if I do trim his nails, and they do get to be a little scratchy, they're not too bad now, but as he gets older and bigger, they'll feel pretty scratchy. If I do cut them, I'll have to be careful not to overdo it. So that's a snapping turtle. Now he is not going to grow real big living in my house in an aquarium. Cold-blooded animals tend to adapt to the size of their environment. This guy living in my house might grow to be maybe 6 or 8 inches across. Now a wild snapping turtle, they can get to be 30, 40, 50 pounds. I've seen them bigger than that, but I think that's a little unusual. I'd say your average snapping turtle is probably going to be 18 or 20 inches long as an adult. But I've seen some big ones that were the size of a manhole cover, if you can imagine something that big around. Now there are bigger snapping turtles than what we have here. This is called a common snapping turtle. That's what you have here in the Northeast. If you go down into the South, then they have alligator snappers, which are bigger. And an alligator snapper, if you've ever seen the snapping turtle that sits in the water with its mouth open, the tongue looks like a worm, they wiggle that tongue, the prey comes over to check out what they think is a worm, the snapping turtle can grab them. These guys do not do that. This guy has a long neck. He'll go out and get what he wants. They can move very, very quickly. And just to give you an idea how long that neck is, you hold a snapping turtle on the sides, he can reach all the way around to bite at you. So it's a long, long neck. I would not mess around with a big snapping turtle. But if you get them when they're babies, I don't think I have ever gotten a baby snapping turtle. I'm talking quarter sized. I don't think I have ever gotten one that was aggressive. Now I said I kept 2 of these guys. This guy goes with me to shows all the time. He's picked up and handled constantly. He has never tried to bite. The other one of the 2 I kept, he didn't go with me to shows all the time. He was not getting handled all the time. He got a little snappy. And last year, when he was a little more than a year old, I let him go. And I was able to let him go in the pond that his mom would have come out of because I knew exactly where the eggs had been laid. So he got put back where he would have gone to after he left the nest. This guy, as long as he remains friendly, I will keep him. Now, you don't normally let pets go, but because these are native animals, and I know exactly what pond their mom came out of, I would be able to let something like this go. All right, so that's some native turtles for today. Like I said, we have other kinds here in Rhode Island, but these guys are all very, very neat water turtles. Okay, they've all got the webbed feet, good swimmers. Of all the turtles I've ever had, snapping turtles actually walk the fastest. When these guys want to move on the ground, they can move pretty fast. So they're very, very interesting turtles. All right, that's it for today. I hope you guys stay well, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.